Where y'all's Double R the guy tapping in with y'all. So look, I just stopped by to give some insight on what's really going on in Ukraine and in Russia, this whole thing. So I got a globe over here, so I'm gonna just give y'all a little rundown with this globe so y'all can see while I'm talking. I'm also gonna put some links to some information that I've learned to people who understand and have a better understanding of this. The reason I'm making this video is just to kind of like summarize what's really going on so that the people know. All right, so if you don't know, this is where Ukraine is located. So this is America right here, right? Then you got the North Atlantic Ocean, and then you have Ukraine. All right, so Ukraine, and this is Europe. This is the rest of Europe. Now, Ukraine used to be a part of Russia. This is Russia, right? So Ukraine used to be a part of Russia. A majority of the people over here are actually Russian, right? And at least half of them are mixed with Russian. Okay, so at one point they all used to be just one big continent. Around, I want to say like the 90s, Ukraine gained its independence. Okay, so there's certain countries that have alliances and there's certain countries that don't have alliances. Russia is part of the Soviet Union. America is part of NATO, which is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Now, the United States, I believe Canada is also with NATO, and NATO is a short version of what I just said. So you got the United States, and then you got these these Western European countries over here, like Germany, I believe Poland, France, all these countries, a bunch of countries over here are all part of NATO, right? So when Ukraine gained independence in the 90s, Russia was still actually funding and helping Ukraine become independent. They were giving them gas. Ukraine also still has some assets that are Russian assets that still exist in Ukraine that Russia has been asking for back, and Ukraine has yet to give them to them, which was part of their agreement. Another agreement that Russia made with the United States was that they would be in peace as long as United States or NATO didn't try to push upon Eastern European countries, more specifically referring to the Ukraine. And the reason why is because United States, what's going on? Why does United States have involvement with Ukraine? Well, we know how United States move. All right, so you know they got all their homies over here, and they want this. They want the rest of this. You know why? Because they want to be right at the borders of Moscow. Now, see this? The capital of Russia is Moscow, right? Okay. The capital of Ukraine is Kyiv. You can't really see it because its crack is right there. But the capital of Moscow or Ukraine is Kyiv. So the United States is trying to align their military along the borders of Russia and Moscow. Now, if Iraqis tried to border up against Montana and Moose, or they tried to border up over here in Ottawa, the United States would not be fucking with Canada if they was allowing Iraqis to post up all over here. That just wouldn't be the case. But here you have the United States trying to press up on Moscow. If the United States was to sit right here along this border, they would literally be 5 minutes away in missiles. Like if they were to shoot a missile off, they would be 5 minutes away from Moscow. Okay, so America was trying to get Ukraine to join NATO, and I guess Ukraine was showing interest in joining, and Russia has been, this is not something that's new. This didn't just start happening yesterday. This shit has been going on since the 90s. And around 2013, 2014 is like when Russia and Ukraine really like split in half. And they've been trying to tell them like, yo, do not join NATO or it's going to be a problem with us too. And they kept telling them this. They tried having conversations with the United States. The United States in the 90s agreed that they would not press upon Eastern European countries, and they are going against what they said. So Russia is not having that shit. So what they did as a warning was they started bombing certain areas along Ukraine. Now, something very important to note is that Russia makes up 30% to, like, I want to say about 30% of oil and gas resources in this European area, which is pretty much NATO. Let's just look at this as NATO. So Russia has pipelines literally flowing through Ukraine. They have pipelines flowing through like Germany, the UK, because we know Europe does not have any resources. So a big percentage of the resources that Europe is getting is from Russia. So I don't know how long this is going to last. All right. That's like, this is the United States trying to press up on Russia, but yo homies is eating off Russia. So at some point there's going to be conflict between Europe and America, or there's not going to be any conflict at all. Like it can go either way. I'm not saying that there won't be a war between the United States and Russia, but just from the way that I'm looking at it, I don't see that very likely. I feel like this is more of a cover up for what's really going on, which I'm gonna get to next. And if y'all want to see more details of how the pipelines are actually running through Europe, I'm gonna put the links down into the videos where where a couple of dudes go more into depth. And I'm gonna also put a video that was from 10 years ago that has to do with what's going on in Africa right now. That's also linked to all of this. Okay, so America has been talking about they're putting sanctions on certain pieces of property, that is Russian. They're stopping a little certain shit. That's not doing anything. A sanction is a fancy word for we're paying close attention to the stuff that you're doing on our land. All right. I feel like if the United States was really talking about what they was talking about, they would be over here in Ukraine. It's just a bunch of talk. The last time I checked, they don't have our military in Ukraine right now. They have them in bordering European countries. That may have changed at this point, but I highly doubt that the United States has sent soldiers over to Ukraine. We haven't started fighting over there. The president of Ukraine is actually kind of upset at how the United States has been conducting its business with them and saying that they're going to help them. Germany, another member of NATO, they also said that they agree with what Vladimir Putin is doing. Don't quote me on that exactly, but something along the lines of that. And they also told another country that so Germany makes weapons, right? So one of the parts for their weapons, they told another country, let's say it's this country, let's say Sweden, right? Let's say Germany's sending parts to Sweden. They told Sweden not to send any of their parts or allow any of their parts to be used in the war. Like they basically said, any guns that y'all sending over to Ukraine can't have any of our parts to it. So if Germany is really supporting the United States on this venture of dominating Ukraine and NATO is making it seem like they supporting Ukraine, why aren't y'all over there? Why aren't y'all sending help? Why aren't y'all sending backup? What is all this going on? And if Russia really feels threatened by the United States, I'm pretty sure that he would have been sent something over here. All right. He doesn't even seem stressed. Okay. And I feel like he knows this is a bunch of bullshit now. I just want y'all to know something else too. This is where it gets kind of weird though, because Alaska was once fought over between the United States and Russia. Now look at how close Russia is to the United States, right? You got Russia right here. See, it looks far when you cross the Atlantic Ocean, but when you go over to the Pacific Ocean, Alaska and Russia are damn near touching each other. They're damn near touching each other. And if I'm not mistaken, it probably was a piece of land connecting these at one point. I mean, it just seems very likely. But meanwhile, while that's going on, another reason that Vladimir does not want the United States pressing up on Ukraine is because I want to say back in the 2000s sometime, America had pulled up over here in, where is it at? Turkey, right? America pulled up in Turkey, which is right above Africa, okay? They pulled up in Izmir. They set up, that was cool with Turkey. And then after they set up over in Turkey, they started bombing Syria. They started shooting airheads from Izmir to Syria, right? Russia, you know, Vladimir used to be kind of cool with this dude in Syria, the president of Syria, right? So when he seen that shit, he was like, there's no way in fuck y'all about to post up on the borders or Ukraine. So what Russia is doing is trying to protect themselves. Meanwhile, the United States just sent 50 billion, 58 billion, or 58 million fucking dollars to Ukraine. It's niggas in Michigan and Flint that still do not have clean water. There's people that are walking around Detroit, Michigan. There's people walking around Florida, California that are fucking homeless. They are homeless. How can you send $58 million to some niggas that are thousands of fucking miles away from you? Thousands of miles away from you. Not a major trading partner, not a part of our alliance, no, none of that. $58 million and your house not even together. How you gonna go furnish somebody else's house and you don't have a couch in your shit? That don't make no sense. That makes no sense. That's another big reason why I think this is just a bunch of bullshit. Not saying that none of this shit is happening in Ukraine, but it's just, what does America have to do with anything that Ukraine and Russia has to do with each other? All right. So then you got right now, which is this shit has been going on for damn near 20 years. The United States are over here in Somalia fighting Al-Shabaab or Al-Shabaab, which is a terror. I don't want to say terrorist group, but they're an Islamic considered terrorist group that was in connection with Al Qaeda. And if you don't remember, Al Qaeda was the group of terrorists that allegedly did the 9/11 bombing, right? So the Islamic court over here in Somalia, this information I'm bringing to you is 10 years ago. The Islamic court, they had formed a group because there's no government in the Horn of Africa, aka Somalia. There's no government formed over here. So the Islamic courts, which were little groups, separate groups that came together and they started forming order. And once they start forming order, the United States started dropping bombs over here in Somalia. So the United States are currently, I ain't gonna say currently, but within the past 10 years, they have been sending Ethiopian black people and Ethiopian Ethiopian Africans and Kenyan Africans over to Somalia to attack Somalians, the Somalian government that's over there. Al-Shabaab or Al-Shabaab rules a big portion of Somalia right now, or in Mogadishu, which is the capital of where they're all at. So some of this portion is controlled by the United States, and the other majority of it is controlled by Al-Shabaab. So the United States, they ended up, once they formed the courts and they all got connected and linked up and everything, they slid over here and they basically infiltrated. Al-Shabaab was a small group at first, but the United States, when they came in and tried to attack, they actually got stronger because the United States took some of the leader groups that was over here and they're working with them now to take down the one Al-Shabaab group who they say are in cahoots with the terrorist Al Qaeda. Now y'all might be like, well, if they're a terrorist group that was working with Al Qaeda, wouldn't it be a good thing? Wouldn't it be a good thing that we're over there trying to stop them? Yeah, that would be a good thing if the 9/11 incident was actually real, but that shit was staged. So I don't even believe that Al Qaeda was really a terrorist group. We know that 9/11 was set up and that it was staged. So I believe that the United States was just using that as a ploy or a cover up for them colonizing and trying to take over other countries that they don't have shit to do with. All right. Not saying that there aren't terrorist groups that are plotting on America that are Islamic. I'm not saying that. But all I'm saying is we know 9/11 was some bullshit. So the reason that y'all saying y'all attacking Al Qaeda is also some bullshit. So whether these people are good or bad is for you to determine. But if we pay attention to how our governments move and how they colonize and the previous history of what has been done to darker colored people, we can pretty much say that these niggas is over here doing some shit that they don't have no business doing. And the moment that they formed order, now you got the United States over here doing whatever the fuck they doing. So meanwhile, they got you focused on Ukraine. It's being innocent people being imprisoned, kidnapped, and you don't hear about it because technically the United States is not going to war because they're employing Ethiopians and Kenyans to do all of their dirty work. So they don't have to say we're going to war. They don't have to send their troops. They'll just pay Ethiopians and Kenyans $200 a piece to go kill each other. And that's exactly what's going on right now. So make sure y'all look up into that. Understand how these big tech companies are using information, are using minerals and resources from Africa to they're literally having little kids do slave labor to get cobalt out of the mines of certain African places just so that they could fuel their technology. All right. So meanwhile, while y'all focused on Ukraine and these niggas in Ukraine don't give a fuck about us, figure out what's going on down here, because this is what they not talking to you about. All right. So I just wanted to come in and give y'all a glimpse, kind of show y'all where in the world this shit is happening at, because when people get to talking about wars, it's easy for us to, just take that and listen to what everybody else is saying and following the news. But this is the part of the news that they won't tell you. They won't tell you the backstory. They're gonna make it seem like Russia is just a bunch of big ass bullies that's trying to take over a country that's trying to be independent, when in actuality the United States is doing the same thing. They're just propagating it in a different way. They just making it seem like, because if the United States is over in Ukraine and Ukraine does not have any allies, they're going to have to become a part of NATO, or they'll be taken over by some group of people. So why not join with y'all former group that y'all fuck with? Also, some other tips and interesting information you should know that I just heard about. So I don't know if this is 100% true, because I have not looked into it completely. So just giving you that disclaimer. But Russia is one of the only group of Caucasians that have not enslaved black people or came over to Africa and colonized any of our shit. They have never enslaved black people, or they have not colonized. Am I saying that they don't benefit off white supremacy? No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that we can pay them boys some respect, because they over there minding their own fucking business. Meanwhile, our country is over here raping and pillaging our fucking nation, the motherland. You feel me? So a group of individuals that aren't colonizing other groups of individuals and are just worried about themselves, I can respect them a lot more than people who have a past of colonizing motherfuckers and taking all of their shit. So with some respect to Russia on that note. So I just thought that was interesting to throw out there. But yeah, y'all, I just wanted to give y'all some backside. Like I said, a couple of links into the video of some people that are a lot better versed in this information than I am. But for those who don't have the time to watch long videos or can't listen to certain people talk, I know I can communicate with people better than some. Every teacher is not the right teacher for everybody. So I just wanted to pass on this information. Drop some information that y'all got in the comments. If y'all know anything else or have anything in relation to say with what I was saying, make sure y'all drop that in the comments. Also, make sure y'all like this video, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, check out my music. I'm dropping music every week, so make sure y'all tune in with that. And yeah, it's up. 1.